place to begin.
And Virginia, we just strongly encourage you as a mother to never give up on your son, on your children, to keep lifting them up in prayer, especially in prayer, and surrounding them with the charity of your heart. I mean, sitting before you here are two guys that were out in left field at one point in our life, and our parents probably wondered if we'd ever come back to the faith. But in Curtis's experience, I mean, the faithful prayers of your mother. I mean, why did you ever even consider the Catholic Church again? Because she kept, with great charity, calling you home and challenging you to reconsider your Catholic faith.
And I would say, Marcus, that we're going through a period of time in history where there's almost unprecedented suffering and really, in a certain sense, a hemorrhaging within the church. People being challenged in their faith, people leaving the church. When I go out to speak, one of the questions I ask, I know you do from time to time, is how many of you have a family member or a loved one who's away from the church? And it's almost unanimous. Every single person in the group will raise their hands. We're going through an incredible time, but at the same time, we're now starting to see a tremendous resurgence of people coming back to the Catholic Church. This whole program is about that. Yeah. And I see everywhere I go now people coming up and saying, 6 months ago I was away from the church, or 3 months ago, and I'm back now, and I'm back with zeal, with total commitment. And so it's an exciting time where we see both sorrow and success side by side.
You know, it's amazing that because there are such a great number of non-Catholics considering the Catholic Church, maybe in a greater number that's ever been since the Reformation, that the Bible plays an absolutely essential part in that bringing them home. Which many think, no, the Bible made them Protestants. No, it's the Bible that brings them to accept the reality of the Church. Let's turn to another email. Marcus and Curtis, my friends are involved in a wonderful Bible study group. It's such a nice time to visit and have fellowship, to use their phrase. My question, is it okay for me, a Catholic, to go to their Protestant Bible study group? Especially when she says, I enjoy it so much.
Oh, sure. And I have friends who are involved in very effective Protestant Bible studies. I'm thinking of a friend out west who knows of a church where there's like 50 Bible studies produced by this one church, and they offer free babysitting so the moms can go, and it's a fantastic situation. And they're not getting that kind of feeding someplace else. I don't think it's an easy to answer the same every time, but I will say this. We need to know our faith and be completely committed to the teachings of the Church, or we are putting our faith in peril by doing this, because this is a highway that leads out of the Catholic Church. Not because the Scriptures lead us out of the Catholic Church. It isn't the Scriptures that make us Protestant. It is the lack of the sacraments, the lack of all 7 sacraments. What are you walking away from? That is the element of protesting, of leaving. That's the problem. And oftentimes, implicit underneath the teachings is a certain anti-Catholicism, or at least a misunderstanding of what the Catholic Church teaches, which is at the heart of so much of the frustration, so many of the people leaving the church. I have come back to accept all of the church's teachings, but it wasn't that I have come to accept the misunderstandings I used to have. I had to come back and understand what it was the church really taught about these things to see that they were true. So when we go to these studies, we need to cling to Scripture and see that as Scripture teaches in 1 Timothy 3:15, it's the church that is the pillar and foundation of truth. And that's a key issue here, is our loyalty to the church, because the church has given us the Scriptures, has protected the Scriptures, and provides the proper interpretation of the Scriptures.
And we mentioned earlier about the danger of when you go to a Bible study, why are you going? Are you going to discover what the real truth is about something? And that's the danger at some of these studies, where the person in leadership, who could be a very charismatic person with a winsome personality and a great intellect, and then when you come to some scripture passage where maybe, let's say, John 6 comes up, and you're dealing with eat my body, drink my blood, when that charismatic, very intellectual, well-talking person describes their understanding of that passage, then what are you going to say and challenge back if that group does not hold to the authority of a teaching church?
No, I think it's a real simple issue. If you're going to look for a guide or a leader, you want to see where they're going. Yeah. And if they're not going where you want to go, then you can't follow them. Now, can you receive encouragement from them? Yes, in certain circumstances you can, but I'm convinced that one of the real challenges to many Catholics is not to read the Bible, and if you do that, you'll leave the church. But it is, for example, listening to some of the Protestant radio programs which present on a regular basis good, clear teaching, which fundamentally misunderstands Catholicism on many key points. And over time, they're kind of loosened from their faith in those elements which are distinctly Catholic.
And I'm thinking about one of our earlier callers, I think it was John, who was struggling with how do you define what's true in his own life. And my encouragement to him is to ask that question when he finally deals with one of the issues and has to determine now what he's going to believe. John, how are you going to decide what it is you end up believing? Who are you going to listen to? And our encouragement is to think about that. Is it just your own gut level feeling or the gut level feeling of your best friend? Or are you going to look to, as Curtis has read, the pillar and foundation of truth which Jesus has established as the church? Why don't we take another caller here as we're